Hey, what's up guys? John here. In this video, I'm gonna give you guys a quick little sneak preview of a property that I just built from the ground up in LA. It's sick. I'm really excited with how it came out. I'm gonna give you guys a full tour of this property soon. But for now, I'm just gonna give you a little preview here, kind of see the landscaping, why I chose this landscaping. I'll go all into this because it's important for you guys to know, especially when you get into real estate, get into your first deal. And so, as I'm finishing this up, of course, what you want to know is, how much can you rent these units for? The market's changing, the world's changing so fast. So I'm looking online, I'm looking realtor.com, theapartments.com, Craigslist, just looking at all those different websites, see what's available in my area. And so what I end up doing is I'm sitting here with my son and I'm like, why don't we just go on a little mission? We'll go on a little trip and we'll see what other apartments are renting for in high-end areas of like downtown, where they're building brand new apartment buildings and they have these posh, beautiful, modern apartments. So we hop on the metro and we cruise downtown, get a little bite to eat, and I stop in this building, and this building is sick. It's about 750 units, and I walk right in there. And normally this place is like flooded with people in the lobby because it's right next to a grocery store that I go to all the time. And so I go in there, I'm like, hey, what's up, man? How much are the one bedrooms? How much are the two bedrooms? Can you give me a tour? And so we're talking, and he's really selling. He's really selling, trying to get me to sign a lease on one of these units. And he's telling me as he's taking me to the first apartment that of 740, 750 units, he had 100 people vacate. 100 people just during the pandemic, right when it first peaked out. 100 people vacated right off the top. And then on top of that, said about 1 in 20 people were not paying rent. And then on top of that, he had people that would simply just catch up with him in the hallway and say, hey, I heard that we actually don't have to pay rent. Is that true? And he would say, well, you do have to pay rent. It's just deferred until the end of this pandemic. And he's like, okay, well, so I don't have to pay now. And he's like, no, well, technically no. And he's like, okay, well, I'm not going to pay. That's literally what he would say, the tenants would say to him. And so this guy's sitting here and he's like clueless. He doesn't know what to do, what to say. And it's such a bad situation. Like, these people, they sell this luxury lifestyle that people can't afford. And it's like a $3,000. I think this apartment, the first one bedroom, is like $3,200 plus parking and utilities, like $3,500. So he sells this luxury lifestyle that people really can't afford, but they want to, convey a certain image. And the deposit to move into these apartments is like $700. It's cheap, $700 for a security deposit. Generally, it's first month and last month at least, so about $7,000 total move in, give or take. So these people are just leaving because they just don't have the money. And this big corporation that owns this property isn't likely not going to chase down a lot of these people, because their cost of their legal team to pursue them, especially in California, it's so expensive to sue anyone in California, especially if you're the landlord. If you're the tenant, it's free. But these people are basically just going to get free rent. And the owners of this building know that. But unfortunately, it's not like it's just like one big rich owner. It's not. Generally, what it is a REIT, a real estate investment trust. They own it, and they basically sell shares, and people invest into it, and these people buy lots of land, develop it, rent out the units, and I'll get all into this in much more detail. But ultimately, the investors are invested into this. Some of them, for the most part, are accredited. Some are not accredited. Non-accredited, people can put $5,000, $10,000, whatever amount in. But accredited is generally what takes a lot more pre-qualifying. People actually have to hit certain thresholds. What ultimately happens is all these people that invested into this deal, and if this deal goes belly up, which ultimately it very well could, because you think about it, these people are buying these deals based on maybe in LA, maybe a 3 to 5 to 7% return. That's tight margins. You have a situation like we have right now, and then you run that out for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, that building is in big trouble, huge. And I'm looking at all these people that are investing, their life savings into this because they think, oh, well, this is real estate investing. I'm going to put my money into this REIT or this investor, and this person's going to buy these properties or whatever they're going to do. The issue there is you just take on a lot of risk. You take on a lot of risk because these people don't have as much money in the deal. They're simply crowdfunding the money, getting it all together, and then they risk everybody else's money and buy an asset. Sometimes it works out very well. And sometimes the investor is very smart and does their due diligence and has a very, very conservative approach. But sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just want to accumulate as much assets as possible. And they put so much debt on the building that they can't weather a storm like what we have right now. And that is going to pose a huge problem going forward, especially in states like California, where Governor Newsom is making the likelihood of opening up anytime soon nearly impossible. His new guidelines are so strict and so unrealistic, especially given that he wants to do all these new ramp ups and testing throughout the state and wants to really expedite the testing. So the odds of getting 0 positive cases, especially given the fact that most of these cases are false positives, it's going to be very, very unlikely. And that just simply means that people are not going to be able to work and generate income, and it's going to be harder for people to remain independent and go out there and pay rent. And so it's going to be just so interesting, just a crazy time to be alive, but some really valuable lessons here. Very, very valuable lessons. Number one is you want to understand what you're doing and understand the risk that you're taking on with any deal, with any investment. And you're gonna see a lot of people that are gonna lose a lot of money going forward because of simply just being greedy and not really doing their homework and due diligence and pushing off that responsibility to someone else because they just simply didn't want to do it. So be really due diligent and understand the pros and cons of every deal. If someone says that a deal doesn't have any cons, then that person's probably a con, and I would walk away, because every deal has cons. There's pros and cons to everything. So know what you're doing. Know what you're doing going forward. But these luxury buildings, these luxury developers are going to be the ones that are going to get really hit hard. It's just going to be such a crazy time to be a real estate investor over the course of like the next 6 months to a year. And like an amazing time, like a super exciting time, because finally we're going to see a huge shift in this market that's going to favor buyers for once. Ignore this whole real estate bubble that we're in right now. It's all fabricated by a 30-year low in inventory. There's not that much inventory, very low interest rates. People are spending more time at home, so they're more conscious of their environment. They want more space for a home office and moving out of expensive cities, so they move to the suburbs. They can get a lot more money, a lot more value for their money that they are spending in rent. So all these things taken into consideration are all going to change very, very soon. Interest rates are going to remain low for the foreseeable future, which ultimately is going to issue so much upside for the patient and smart developer who's keeping their eye on the prize here, which is paying attention to the defaults. We're at 9 homes in foreclosure out of every 100 properties in America. Roughly 60 million people are going to be losing their homes in the coming couple months. 5 million people plus in forbearance right now. So many things happening right now, and I think that it's just going to be an amazing time to be a real estate investor soon. But it's going to be so fascinating to pay attention to these luxury high-end buildings, these really high-end buildings, and it's just going to be amazing. I personally think that as I mentioned, affordable housing is going to be the spot that you want to be, offering really nice affordable housing to people in dense areas. I think that's going to be a really good spot to be in. So just a lot going on. I went to Home Depot just yesterday with my son. He's 9 months and he's pushing the cart. He's almost walking now. It's just crazy. Just a couple months ago, he could barely sit up. Now he's almost walking. He's literally pushing the little cart with the house numbers and all this stuff on there. So this project will be done really soon. I'm going to give you the full tour of this property and keep you guys updated. But just wanted to hop in here, kind of give you guys an update and let you know what I've learned in LA. It's so crazy how it goes from being so hot 1 minute to the next minute. It's like nobody cares, which was everyone wanted to be in downtown LA. It was like the cool spot to be. You know, the hip, cool, modern. Everyone was walking around with little foo-foo dogs, and everyone loved it. And now it's like, apparently people just can't get away fast enough because I think increased crime, high cost of living, no need to really be in the city right now, so much uncertainty, people just moving. So it's just going to be, you make your money in these uncertain times. If you look at all the smart investors, they rarely ever make their money in the good markets. They make their money in the bad markets because it's so much easier. You need less capital, you have less competition, and if you can see through the fear and the fear mongering, you're going to just do really well. But the key is understanding what you're doing, and ultimately you'll learn a lot about what to do and how to do it on this channel. So please hit that like button, drop your comments below, hit the subscribe button as well, and I'll see you guys in the next video.